June 11th, 1805. A fire destroys large parts of Detroit. It's been described as almost too easy. Welcome to The Revisionists, the podcast for the huddled masses. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest tonight is a delightful Denver comic, co-host of the Whiskey and Cigarettes podcast, among many other things. Please welcome Zac Maas.
Oh man, no one's ever called me delightful before. Double delightful? I'm double D'ing over with delightful right now. Well, hi everybody.
You're like a little Debbie product of a human being.
Yeah. Like the stutter of a southern child.
Yeah.
Exactly. I only wrote it down once, but I'm like, you know what?
Let's throw another one in there.
It's Friday night. Let's go a little crazy.
Yeah, delightful
when you see him in
square.
person, it just you can't help it. Mm-hmm. Pictures don't capture it.
It's like seeing Sasquatch.
Exactly, yeah.
Did you just say I look like a Sasquatch?
I mean, Brian said that.
No, I meant you felt more like a Sasquatch, if that makes any sense.
Blurry and distant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still something primal.
Outdoorsy and athletic, mysterious.
I've never seen...
Friends with the Hendersons.
You've never seen a squatch? Is that what you're trying to say?
I've never.
You've never been squatching?
No, I've never gone squatching. No.
Squatch watching?
Never been squatch watching. Never been Yeti yelping.
Yeah, I did.
That's when you review Yetis.
I had an interview once with Bobo. He's a professional Bigfoot hunter. Mm-hmm. And he told me some fascinating things. He brought us a casting of a Bigfoot footprint also. So I'm 100% sure it's real. I've seen the evidence.
It's just the use of the word professional.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how do you make money off of that?
He bangs 2x4s together in the woods and screams.
That's not money, though.
That's how a professional hunter hunts, all right? For the Squatch.
Stop right here. Everybody knows the mating call of the Sasquatch is 2x4s banging against each other in a forest. Which is hard. That's why there's so few. It's hard to find 2x4s in the forest.
It's actually how
the
they...
forest is made of 2x4s.
Well, they're not cut properly, you see.
It's how they communicate. It's a Squatch form of like Morse code, if you will. They can, hear it over long distances.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean...
Two claps means I'll be home for dinner.
3 claps means there's trouble.
3 means our relationship is over and you will raise the children from here on out.
Next time you are camping, remember this Sasquatch hobo code we're teaching.
Yeah, there's a lot of Squatch-troversy. Never mind, I'm going to stop here. Sorry.
The moral of this
I've already managed to really derail this.
Is
no, that's fine.
Squatch is just a fun word.
Yeah.
And you add a little sass in there, even better.
Listeners, as you may know...
Just trying to imagine a real sassy Sasquatch.
Yes.
No, you don't photo me.
Why wasn't that a Looney Tunes character?
Why is that not a what?
A Looney Tunes character.
Sassy Sasquatch?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a rejected Looney Tunes character, I'm sure.
Rejected to their detriment, I may say.
It was deemed not racist enough.
You had to take it there.
Yeah.
We were just having fun with furry woodland creatures, and then we're going to get to plenty of that.
Even having fun with furry woodland creatures does not sound entirely innocent. Given the history of what we've talked about on this show, especially.
Listeners, as you may know, each episode of the show, we take a different topic from history and present 2 different stories on it. One true, one false, and we get to decide the winner. If you listen to the last episode with Zach Welch, you'll know that the true story won out in the case of Benedict Arnold.
Back-to-back Zach.
Man, there's a lot of Zachs in this town, you know.
At least
and
3.
I mean, and we're all doing important work. Like, I feel like it's to the point where we shouldn't all fly on the same airplane together, you know?
Like the guys who have the secret recipe to Coke or whatever?
But all the other Zachs, like, you guys could all fly on an airplane at the same time together.
Okay. So basically, this is a plea for you to have a private airplane. What you want is a private airplane.
I bought actually, I figured I'd throw like a little Zach bash out in the ocean. And I got tickets for every Zach in town.
Is this a ploy to kill everyone named Zach but yourself?
Are you inviting them to a plane crash, or is this like an international water?
No, this is just my public invite for everybody to come to the big Zac Bash in the ocean. Send me an email at Zachary Maas.
I mean, at least we'd get rid of Zack Snyder.
Or you can tweet me at Zach. I have the original at Zach. So yeah, just tweet me at that. That's a lie. That's a real lie. But
Zach, if you're listening, head on over to the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've said Zachmore or Squatchmore.
You can fly there, but you're also more than welcome to swim. It's not very far. Just go straight.
Just deep enough to drown.
Just go to any ocean and go straight until you get there. There's also some in the middle of large lakes. So be looking for these parties, fellow Zachs.
Right. And the time? Anytime. Just start swimming into the ocean.
It's always party time at a Zac Bash.
And when people ask you what you're doing, just say Zac Bash as your lungs fill with salt water.
7 p.m. till question mark. Because they will never find the body.
Oh, God damn it. This week we're discussing Valley Forge. Zach Powers, you have the true story.
I do.
Why do you tell him that he has the true story? I think you should let people see if they can guess. Have you guys debated this?
In this Rashomon of a podcast, I have one version of the events.
Yeah.
Zach Powers, you have a version of events.
Sure, I sure do.
Zac Maas, you have another version.
Yeah, I have a version of events. I mean, we both have true stories.
That's true. Not to invalidate.
I just don't know who did better research. I think I did.
Very possible.
Given the preview of some of your research, I could say your research was very in-depth. But, Zach, if you're ready.
I am. So Valley Forge was, in fact, a military encampment during the American Revolution.
Bullshit.
Immediately we're at odds. It essentially lasted from December 19th, 1777 until January 18th, 1778. It immediately followed the Battle of White Marsh, which was actually a pretty bad, more or less defeat for the Americans. Like 8 times as many Americans died as British, though it was kind of more of a skirmish than a proper battle. And Washington...
Well, it sounds like more of just a slaughter than a battle.
Yeah, skirmish is when, like, forces lightly exchange casualties, like 8
lightly
to 1.
exchange casualties.
Or was it literally like 16 revolutionary soldiers died and
About
2 British
100
died, and they're like, fuck this, we're going to do this later.
It was like, I think it was 150 to about 20.
Okay. So way to hype that shit, all right?
Yeah.
There's gang fights that are bigger than that.
Are there?
Yeah.
I don't... Because that's still... like 170
Seems like a pretty big
people. That's a massive
gang
gang
fight.
Is this the Warriors that were...
It's like a medium-sized terrorist event.
Yeah, I was
event.
I was thinking about going there, but I didn't want to bring down the mood.
Well, we just did talk about drowning a bunch of people in the ocean.
Yeah,
who think they're going to a nice party.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways, Washington had, over the course of the previous year, been pushed out of New York and pushed back to Philadelphia, so he was kind of not on a hot streak in this particular instance. They holed up for the winter at Valley Forge, knowing the winter would probably be too severe to really have an effective campaign during that time. So there were a few notable folks with him. Marquis de Lafayette was there. Alexander Hamilton was in fact there. And slightly before they got to Valley Forge, Washington actually sent Hamilton to talk to General Horatio Gates, who was kind of the hero of the Revolution at the time.
Who was the first guy?
Marquis de Lafayette. He is a key figure in the French and American Revolution. He is.
So I figured he was French.
Yeah. He's one of the key connections between us and our French allies in the Revolutionary War.
And tied with Lincoln for my favorite historical figure. But we'll get to that in an episode or two.
Hamilton goes to General Horatio Gates, who's a hero at this point for winning the Battle of Saratoga, though some historians say that was more Benedict Arnold's doing than his, and tries to get more troops and more supplies to the people holed up at Valley Forge. And Gates says no. Hamilton tries every argument in the books. Gates says no, and Hamilton's uncomfortable strong-arming him because he's such a important figure at the time, and Hamilton's like 22, 23 years old. Mm-hmm. So he goes back and has nothing for the people at Valley Forge. Over the course of the coming months, in fact, 2,500 of the 12,000 people there die. 4,000 are listed as unfit for combat at some point or another during the events. There's typhoid, there's yellow fever, there's pneumonia, there's dysentery. Even when they enter this Valley Forge, only about a third of the troops even have shoes. There was reportedly like bloody footprints from the marching into it.
No, man, and I see that.
In
I
the
mean,
snow.
I don't even know how we won the war when 1/3 of the army was hippies.
Yeah. Yeah. In
Well, no,
fact,
they just talked at the British, so the British were like, this is intolerable.
They were like, fuck this BO and patchouli and bloody feet. We don't want to fuck with these
some say
hippies.
Valley Forge was the first Burning Man, but
Yeah. Hey.
so
I thought that was going to lead somewhere. It's just vaguely threatening.
within the first week, they'd only managed to make 2 huts. Both required 80 logs, and they only used 1 axe to make both of them because they were so undersupplied. Although by February, they at least had shelter, but they were still starving.
They built like 40 in a month, though. After that, they like really stepped it up.
They
and
stepped
built
it
an
up.
impressive amount of huts. I mean, come on, man.
Well, you know, the first 2 are kind of practice huts, and then you get on your game.
Yeah, exactly.
But, the snow was melting too quickly for them to efficiently even turn it into drinking water, but it was still cold and damp, which let the diseases fester, like, super well. So basically, it was the worst possible conditions. Meanwhile, there were a lot of people around the country saying Washington was lazy or falling asleep at the wheel for not pushing forward during this time, even though his men just couldn't, including Thomas Conway, who ran what's sometimes called Conway's Cabal, which was an anti-Washington sort of group of important
It was like the first
military
super
figures.
PAC, basically.
Yeah, they were opposed to Washington and wanted Gates to kind of be the figurehead of the American Revolution.
And there's some question as to whether or not Horatio Gates was involved with Conway's
them.
cabal.
Yeah. They wrote to the Continental Congress repeatedly, but they were unresponsive. Eventually, in January, a couple members of the Continental Congress came by and saw how horrendous the conditions were. And in February, the rest of the Congress unanimously voted to send more supplies. But because of the way the system was set up in the Continental Congress, like, there was still a lot of separate factions that had weird power over how provisions were divvied up, and generals specifically, like Gates. The weird division in how all of this was set up, some people argue, eventually had kind of an impact on Washington and Hambledon, who felt like it would be better to have a more centralized power, which may be important later in their careers.
Yes.
But obviously it was a pretty harrowing time for both of them because people were dying
Yes,
all over
because
the place.
people were dying and no one had shoes.
Yeah. I'm saving the best for last, but
Okay.
during the course of it, a few wives and children came by. It's kind of hard to forget that all this was happening relatively close to where these people really lived, so occasionally family could actually come to the battlefront. Martha Washington came by and some other wives, and they like knitted blankets for the troops, although they were clearly not enough for everybody. But
it was good for morale.
it was probably good for morale, but there was something that was better for morale. All right. Imagine you're in Valley Forge, everybody's dying and sick, and they got typhoid and dysentery. There's probably shit everywhere.
You want a bone?
You want a bone? Real bad.
You want a bone. The boning would be fatal boning, too sick.
And butt sex has not been invented yet.
Of course, that came about in, I think, 1884.
With, of course, the contribution of Jonathan Buttsex.
Suddenly, what do you hear in the snow but the sound of jingle bells coming down?
Nothing but Baron von Steuben.
Nothing but, in an ornate, gorgeous sleigh, driven by several horses, a man covered head to toe in fine fur and knee-high boots. Frederick Wilhelm August Heinrich Ferdinand Steuben, which you might be thinking, that doesn't sound like his real name, and you'd be correct, because he was born. Frederick Wilhelm Ludolf Gerhard Augustin von Steuben, which I assume he changed because it was too Jewish. Comes riding in. This is a veteran of the 7 Years' War, a Prussian military man who speaks only French, did not bother to learn fucking English before he signed on. Important fact about Baron von Steuben. He is not a baron. He lied about being a baron for 8 years.
It sounded the best on his name.
It did. When Ben Franklin introduced him to George Washington, he did come clean and say, I'm not a baron, I'm just a lieutenant colonel. He is not a lieutenant colonel.
Well,
So he totally catfished George Washington.
Pretty much. But this dude is the coolest dude.
are you finished describing his rival? Okay, because I was like, I know a few extra things if you don't have.
All right. First of all, Baron von Steuben is almost certainly gay. All right. And he has...
Baron von Steuben is gay.
Yeah. He has, that he lives with throughout his life. I can only describe it as a harem of men that live intermittently in his house, including John Adams' son and John Quincy Adams' brother, and a person who later became a senator. And he just has these people filtering in and out of his house. He has like his entourage of men that come with him. And this motherfucker rides into Valley Forge, doesn't speak a word of English, and is like, I'm going to train these motherfuckers. Because at this point, everybody had been trained out of different field manuals, so it was terribly coordinated. They didn't have any real drill instructors, so they didn't even know how to use, like, bayonets. They didn't know how to properly make latrines.
Or even how to, like, turn
Shoot
left
musket.
as a group.
Like, they were fucking not coordinated at all. This is the part in, like, every Mighty Ducks sort of, the Big Green movie where, like, the nerdy team is falling apart and they're like, maybe that super cool kid can come by and teach us a few things. And they finally convince him to join the team and there's a fucking montage. And at the end, they're great. Because Baron von Steuben writes a field manual, writes it in French because he doesn't speak fucking English, and he throws it to, like, Alexander Hamilton and Nathaniel Greene and Marquis de Lafayette. He's like, translate this shit.
Not only this, but when he rolls into town on this sleigh.
Yeah.
So the way that
jingle bells, the jingle bell, he had 24 jingle bells on the sleigh.
And what I've heard is that his harem of boys is just like hanging all over the sleigh, yeah. But not only that, he rolls up
in his lap.
Yeah, he has a miniature greyhound. He's a fucking miniature greyhound.
I could only imagine this guy being like, "I'm here, motherfuckers!" as he comes into town, probably throwing money out of the sleigh.
Just waiting for the Revolutionary Band to play his song before he enters.
Yeah.
So he teaches these guys over the course of the next few months, even in their sixth state, like everything. And they become an efficient unit to the degree that after this is over and they actually get supplies and they're a little more nourished, they go on to the Battle of Monmouth, which unlike the battle before where they were evenly matched, they're outnumbered at Monmouth. And they win what historians describe as a nominal victory, despite being greatly outnumbered. The British are the ones who retreat from that battle.
Mm-hmm. They're the ones who retreat first.
Yeah.
But it's still, the Continental Congress
It's a
calls
nominal
it a victory.
but the fact of the matter is, this time they're outnumbered.
Yeah.
It's a proper battle, and they're actually doing something. Like, they're putting the hurt on the British as at least as much as the vice versa. And
I just picture Baron von Steuben watching this with just like a fur coat and two giant gold chains.
Yeah. And his manual is dispersed to, like, the rest of the army, like the American army as the go-to training manual. At this
George
point.
Washington wasn't a very good general.
No.
Yeah, he was more of an inspirational
It
figure.
was
I think,
really a gay Frenchman that won
yes.
won the
And I
Revolutionary War for us.
This-
Otherwise known as the French.
If there is a reason...
So, those of you who love America...
And the last detail, as they were leaving Valley Forge in June, people finally having supplies, feeling better, not dying frequently anymore, was about the same time they got word back that the French had signed a treaty and were coming to support America. And they ended their time at Valley Forge by having a bunch of ceremonies, like some ceremonial firing of muskets, and chanting, "Long live the French, long live the friendly powers, long live America." And every soldier was given a gill of rum.
Which is how much rum?
It's like, I don't know, like a fourth of a pint.
Oh, that's not much rum.
It's not much rum, but it's like
It's enough to get you drunk.
10,000 people. So,
Especially when you haven't eaten in months.
yeah.
Yeah, when you've been boiling down your boots.
So I'm thinking, I mean, that's basically the story. If there's a reason to keep the true history, there's two. I'd say it's really interesting to see the roots of the Federalist urge in both Washington and Hamilton. And three simple words: Baron von fucking Steuben.
Where did you come across that research?
Different sources.
Different sources?
Yeah, I kind of
So,
went.
I gotta
happened to
say-
be riding back in a car last night from Fort Collins. I did a show up there, and they were listening to the Cracked podcast in the car, and they happened to cover that entire
really
segment. Yeah,
Well,
which I was just like one of those like, hot damn, I need to learn about this, and gradually, or just by chance, I ended up hearing a bunch of shit about it. But yeah, that guy's awesome.
yeah, I also just like the idea of the phrase "the Federalist Urge" because it sounds like a weird like Kindle erotica book about gay sex at Valley Forge.
I'm sorry if there weren't a lot of tangents in that one. Too excited about Baron von Steuben.
No.
Gay Revolutionary War hero and complete badass.
The best, like one of the two or three coolest figures.
I don't know how
war.
Lin-Manuel Miranda did not have a big number where Baron von Steuben comes in right after Stay Alive and fucking sings a major, like, he sings I'll Make a Man Out of You, but it's all in French because he doesn't want to learn fucking English. And Hamilton's just trailing behind singing the English version so the audience can understand.
Oh, man. So, Lin-Manuel Miranda, if you're listening,
Deleted scene, come on.
deleted scene. Zach, thank you. Zac Maas, if you are ready with your version of events.
All right, yeah, I am. Let me set the table here. Let me paint this picture. All right, the moment you walk through the doors at Valley Forge Casino Resort, we start working to make sure that you have a first-class experience.
Wait, hang on.
Well,
This is not...
It's a weird start, but...
Also, do you work for Valley Forge Casino Resort? Is this just ad copy?
No,
Because I think we're actually...
Joel Friedman is the vice president of Valley.
I mean, this is great, but I think we're discussing a different Valley
Joel
Forge.
Friedman was like a colonel? A colonel?
So this is what their vice president said. He said, Valley Forge Casino Resort is just a special place.
Again, I think
Size
we
of our
might...
casino is 600 slots.
God damn it.
And 50 table games, which allows us to treat every customer like a VIP.
I think we might be discussing two different Valley Forge.
There's some things that are right, like the name Valley Forge, and there's some numbers in there, which were also in my story.
Did you guys want me to talk about Valley Forge fabrics?
Again... not
like the quilts. The quilts they made, maybe like
textiles, finished bedding, decorative shears, and coated blackouts.
I know what a couple of those are, but I think we're looking for Valley Forge related to the Revolutionary War.
Oh.
If you have that,
I just talked about it. For about
like
20 minutes,
like what Zach just talked about for 20 minutes. I was okay.
You were just looking at all these different fabrics.
Well, that's how jokes don't work. No. No. What's weird is that I actually am a distant relative of George Washington. My family actually, we broke off though. Like we changed our last name from Washington. Once we found out that all of his dentures were made from slave teeth. Yeah, we were like, whoa.
So once you found that out, like,
whoa.
a month ago.
Yeah, did you find that out on our podcast 1 month ago?
Holy shit. Yes, no. So all of Washington's teeth are slave teeth, which, I guess is what you had to do back then. I love how in the history books, they're like, no, they were wood. He had wooden teeth.
You know what?
Like, yeah.
Ed Gein just grave robbed. That's a perfectly valid way to get some teeth. If it's either that or take them out of slaves, I'm going to go with grave robbing.
Some of the stuff I said that he that Washington bought them.
Yeah.
But this is the truth about George Washington here. So guys, he was a liar. He was a liar.
But when they asked him about that cherry tree, I mean,
I love that the story for why he's a liar is just based off of a lie. Like they realize the story that says that he's not. I mean, if you want to say that he's not a liar, ask the British if they think that he's a liar. All right, he is a liar. He also, God, he didn't love his wife.
I mean,
lied to her every time he said I loved you. Who did he love? His best friend's wife. I bet he never told him that.
Wait, so Would that be Eliza Hamilton?
You know
or-
what? I mean, not only did he never tell him, I'll bet every time he saw him, he said, "I don't love your wife." Because it just seemed so easy for him to lie all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah. No.
Flying through his ill-gotten teeth.
So Martha Washington was a widow who had the most money, which is how this all plays in, because this war was all orchestrated by the Masons as a profitable exchange between governments. It was never planned for the British to win. That was never planned at all. Valley Forge, yeah. The troops had a bad time. Some of them. They had to paint that picture, all right? That was part of Washington's lie. He had to make it look like they were out there, like they were weak, like they were out, like they were undertrained.
I'm really hoping the story involves water slides. I'm just going to say it.
You bring Van Steuben in. You bring Baron von Steuben in. He shows up on sleigh bells and stuff. Think of the reports that the British are getting back at their camp. They're getting, they just had a gay man on a sleigh with a tiny greyhound show up, and he's going to teach them how to fight. And boy, you should see it. They can't even drink. They can't even drink. They can't even dig toilets, latrines.
They certainly can't drink toilets.
There is shit running downhill into their shittily constructed cabins,
which they built downhill for some reason.
Yeah, one of the things a lot of people don't know: smell of shit. Stronger than coffee. Will keep you wide awake, alert, train for hours. It's very efficient.
I didn't realize the research was done on that.
Combine the two, you got a 24-hour energy, baby.
But
oh, no.
What a lot of people don't know is that...
This podcast brought to you by 24-hour energy?
Shit in your coffee.
A lot of people don't know this, but Tom Hanks was at Valley Forge.
Now, this is our Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Okay.
Tom Hanks was at Valley Forge, but it's the Tom Hanks from the Da Vinci Code.
So it's kind of our Tom Hanks.
So is it a character he played, or is it?
Well, he was sent back in time. This is where things start to get crazy, and this is what a lot of people don't know about. Tom Hanks was sent back in time to protect George Washington from a murdering cyborg robot that was sent back from 2050 by the British Empire.
Who by then were going by Skynet, I presume.
I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, Tom Hanks went back, saved George Washington from this cyborg, but what happened was he really didn't even need to, because the robot was trained to identify him by his dental records, and because of all the slave teeth that he was wearing.
Classic time-traveling cyborg assassin mistake.
They had no idea. So Baron von Steuben, being as charming as he was, charmed the robot into fighting the British.
Okay.
And they did not reveal that they had a Terminator robot at White Marsh. They did not do that.
Probably be a military mistake to just say, "Hey, guess what? We got a Terminator.
We have a drone. Guess what?"
But anyways, so what happened is then really they threw a pretty big dance party. Baron von Steuben threw a very big dance party.
Dance parties figure so prominently in history.
And really what it was for is it was actually a giant orgy. So smallpox had broken out.
Oh, sure.
And there was not a way to...
I think you mean smallpox had remained broken out.
Well, yeah. So they basically, what they did was, it was the first time that they took a huge risk on this, but it was called a cocculation. And it's where someone who has smallpox fucks someone.
I feel like that was invented by someone with smallpox as an excuse to fuck a bunch of people.
Well, what's crazy is it actually, 4 out of 10, used to survive just straight smallpox. 4 out of 10 people, but with a cocculation, 1 out of 50 survived. So he actually, through having this huge dance orgy, saved, thousands of lives.
Well, that math works the opposite way that you think you do. If 1 out of 50 survived, that's much less than...
Oh, I'm sorry.
1 out of 10.
I'm sorry. 1 out of 50 died.
Oh, okay. But it works the same way as a vaccine, where you get a small sample in your bloodstream and it kind of inoculates.
Yeah, but...
Weird thing, though. Tom Hanks, though, had diabetes, spread diabetes to about half.
Wow. Not
Wait,
usually
so-
an infectious
And
disease.
what's crazy is a lot of people don't realize is that diabetes all has to do with Tom Hanks.
Okay. Wait, also, so Tom Hanks was the one fucking all of these people?
Well,
Or was it just a
like
big mess? of
Tom
fucking?
Hanks in the future with diabetes going back and giving diabetes to people in the
okay,
past
glad we
is the whole
clarified
reason
that. I just
that
have-
diabetes existed so that Tom Hanks could get diabetes in the first place. It's kind of like a butterfly effect of diabetes.
I have three questions. Three questions I need answered right now. One, the Terminator. Was it all metal, all liquid metal, or a hybrid of both?
All slave teeth.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a new
That
model.
is way scarier.
That is
No, it was made out of wood.
okay.
So
that makes sense. Organic materials have to go back in time. That makes sense.
yeah, the British weren't no Skynet. All right, they sent a wooden robot back in time to try and protect the future. Yeah.
Number two. In our universe, I'm pretty sure Tom Hanks does not have diabetes. Why? Was it his character in the Da Vinci Code?
No, Tom Hanks
Has secret diabetes?
has diabetes.
Okay. Three. In our
He
universe,
really does. He got it from all of his amazing roles. He has a type
his
2.
sweet rolls. I got you.
Yep. God damn
Three.
it.
In our universe, diabetes is not a sexually transmitted disease. Is it because he has diabetes?
Well, it's because he's like that outbreak monkey.
Okay. So Gwyneth Paltrow was also there.
Well,
No, that's
that's
Contagion.
Well, no, I mean, it's basically like this. Like, the only way you can get diabetes through sex is from Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks had sex, gave them
So he's like
diabetes. They had children. I mean, basically, what it kind of comes down to, too, is he probably fucked his great-great-great-grandfather.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So-
That's why Tom Hanks is married to Wilford Brimley.
So Tom Hanks is the only person who can pass on diabetes sexually.
Great.
What I'm saying is that if we want to cure type 2 diabetes, we should have killed Tom Hanks 15 years ago.
But who has the heart to do that?
And he's America's sweetheart.
is
America's dad.
Okay,
Well,
thank
and then George Washington actually figured this out when they were there, and he was like, you know what, I could kill this man that came back and protected me from this wooden Terminator, or
We're just calling it a Terminator now.
and I could also cure diabetes, but
We can.
what would America do without Big?
of course.
Because Tom Hanks was very popular at the camp. He would tell all the men stories of his movies.
Sure.
They really loved, their favorite was Joe versus the Volcano. It was a great one.
Like that scene in Star Wars where C-3PO tells the Ewoks about all their adventures and they're getting really into it.
Yeah, but once he tells them about the brain tumor part of Joe versus the Volcano, they all he created a lot of hypochondria, basically. Anytime anyone would get a headache after Tom left, the soldiers would be like, I think I might have a tumor.
Oh, he was like the WebMD of the time.
And of
Yeah.
course, his tales of falling in love with a mermaid,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
of going into space.
Made a lot of people swim into the ocean looking for a mermaid or a party.
Well, and then he'd always be like, he'd tell them about Saving Private Ryan, and they would say stuff like, "Can't wait for my kids to fight in that war."
Maybe a few generations removed.
Some very old children fighting in World
Well,
War II.
and then the Civil War, it was like, I don't know. Basically, a lot of people were burying gold.
And of course, that time he was stuck in the airport.
Yeah.
There's a lot of letters that are actually about ready to be delivered in the next few years that say like, "Hey, I know gold's worth a lot more money now. I buried some here in this field."
They're just letters that are ready to be delivered.
So anyways,
Just
back to
waiting
the
for their
Masons
chance.
and the Illuminati. They were behind all of it.
They usually are.
Probably even the wooden Terminator. But that's what really happened at Valley Forge.
Oh, Zach, thank you for that. And the role of judgment falls to me this week. And the deciding factor would have been Baron von Steuben, but I think he's in both versions in much the same way. So that's that's a bit of a wash. On the one hand, one version celebrates Tom Hanks as the man who
created diabetes.
The man who created diabetes, while saving America.
Yeah.
But also cursing America in the future with diabetes.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other version honors the trials and sacrifices of the men encamped at Valley Forge.
Mm-hmm.
And the other version has a Terminator made out of either wood and slave teeth. I think a combination of both, which is a horrifying.
He has a beautiful smile.
Well, you need something to hold the wood together, I guess.
Is teeth really the best?
How else are you going to make fingernails on a wooden robot?
Oh, God. Answer me this. Tom Hanks is back in time. Da Vinci Code Tom Hanks specifically is back in time. This is so fucking convoluted. Is back in time to save the revolution. Does he have the capacity to travel?
Save just George Washington, right?
And by proxy, the revolution.
Well, I mean, George Washington really wasn't that important, but Tom Hanks just didn't like the way that the other guy looked on money.
King George III.
Yeah.
Okay. Does Tom Hanks have
No. That you're still thinking the British would have won. Like,
so someone else would have swooped in.
You gotta remember, this is back when America was great. You know, this is back when Americans were great. And
of course, how could they be great again?
Yeah,
sure. But I think it's an important question.
Well,
does Tom Hanks join Caligula as a person with access to a time machine?
Another thing that I didn't want to get totally into, but
but we forced your hand.
A big part of Tom Hanks being spared by George Washington also had to do with his son is probably going to release the dopest rap album.
Oh, the other one.
They're the same person, actually. He only has one son, but
Jekyll and Hyde situation.
But it's part of his son's actor training that he's been training him since he was a wee child, master training him. Like, you're going to play the role of 3 of my children.
Wait, is Tom Hanks in his private life Batman?
No.
Oh, well, then, okay. Well,
I am now apparently an expert on Tom Hanks.
It was so authoritative. I think I was on the fence, but the idea of George Washington being like, I would punish you for spreading diabetes, but your son's mixtape is going to be fire.
Either way, Zach wins today.
I have to go with Zac Maas, that is.
I did it! Yes! Take that, Zach. Go to the ocean party.
I mean, that just sounds like a beach party, but with more drowning.
How do we do on time? How are we doing?
We're doing all right. We should wrap up soon. But listeners, if you want to comment or ask us a question, you can do that at revisionistpodcast.com, or you could like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or review us on iTunes, which is super, super helpful. And again, thank you to everyone who has done that so far.
George Washington was a real piece of trash, by the way. Pennsylvania made it illegal for slaves to be slaves for more than 6 months. So what he would do is right when they were about to get to the point where they had to be released, he would just take them back across the border of Pennsylvania and then bring in new ones. And then when they were ready to go, then he would take them back and then he would bring the other slaves in. So he was just slave switcherooing, so he never had to free his slaves. Like, fuck that guy. And his goddamn slave teeth. Like, why the fuck is he on our money? Oh, yeah. He won this war that a gay guy trained all of our troops to fucking win.
I would put Baron von Steuben on money in a heartbeat.
Yeah, let's put Baron von Steuben on the $1 bill.
Or just like his Greyhound on the 1 and him on the 5.
Yeah.
Move Lincoln.
Instead of the Lincoln Memorial on the back, it's him coming in on a sleigh with a Greyhound and a harem of men hanging off.
Oh, man. And of course, Titus
Where's
Burgess.
that fucking portrait? Where is that fucking portrait?
Oh, man. Before we go,
that should be on the back of money.
Yeah.
Him just in his furs with his Greyhound. Like, fuck yeah, money.
Zach, before we go, as I mentioned, you co-host Whiskey and Cigarettes podcast.
Yes. I'm also the co-creator of Uncalled For, the worst card game. You can check that out at uncalledfor.com. FOUR. That show, we were just at Bridgetown Comedy Festival, and just last night we're at Nerd Melt in LA. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening with that. Local show should be coming up for July soon, so yeah, check out the website. Follow me on Facebook, Zac Maas, ZACMAAS, or on Twitter at Moss Comedy. MAAS Comedy. Yay!
Yay.
All right.
Thank you for taking that over for me. Zach, Stage of Fools is still on hiatus, but you can always listen
Always
to the back
check it out.
episodes.
Yep.
And as for me, I will, if you are very on top of it, listeners, today, Saturday, June 11th, I will be at the O Lounge for Long and Wicked, which is at Colfax in Washington. Above
Great show.
Above
Byron
a sex
Graham hosts
shop.
that. No, it's above a gay bar.
Above a gay bar. Right next to a sex shop.
God, you call a gay bar a sex shop. Jeez, it's so much different, all right? It's a bar. It's above a bar with cages that men dance in below it.
That's true.
Von Steuben's kind of place.
They should rename it Von Steuben's.
I mean, if he got to... I want to make that gay bar now. And also, June 20th, I will be hosting an event called Flash Storytelling in association with the Inglewood Public Library.
What's up with that? Tell me some deets on that.
It's a storytelling event, 3 minutes max for everyone. There's a prize for the best storyteller of the night, and it's just going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
Cool, I
It's
might
open
come
to
do
everyone. Yeah. Come on down and check that out.
Stage time comics.
Do it. Or people who aren't comics who just wander into the library.
The homeless are welcome. Tell every homeless person you see on the street to come down and tell a story. There's a cash prize.
Oh, they have such stories. Zach, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This is a lot of fun. I know way more about George Washington than I ever wanted to. I thought he was a all right guy before I was asked to do this podcast. And,
I mean, that's our
now
goal, to
I know-
ruin.
Well, no. It's not even that you ruined my idea of Washington. It's that you ruined the innocence of my childhood. You know, it's that I was lied to as a child, and now I used to think about it like those were the good old days, and then I'm like, no, those are just the days where I would show up in a room every day and be miserable while they lied to me.
Yeah.
Blue pill, red pill, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know, but you're getting dangerously close to the name of like an MRA group, and I don't want to have any
that's
part of
true.
it.
Oh, man. Zach Powers, thank you, as always.
Thank you.
For everyone here at The Revisionist, I'm Brian Flynn.
I am Zac Powers.
I'm Zac Maas.
Thanks for joining us.